Book 3. The Council of the Ages. Chapter 1. Part 3. The dwarf and the half-orc went to the port like all of Almera, an elven ship of war. It had never happened in the entire Age of the Damned. The elves did not mix with men, perhaps with kings on specific occasions. But for a warship to anchor in Almera was as rare as seeing a dwarf give gold to the poor. The ship caused admiration. When sailing it seemed to float on the water. It was similar to that of Captain Lasgama, although with a much more polished design and larger dimensions. Anchored in the middle of the bay, a smaller boat came out of the ship, an auxiliary boat, but with an impeccable design. To everyone's amazement, he easily arrived at the port and docked without problems. The crowd stood near the boat from which 3 elves disembarked. By the banner of the sail it was known to which kingdom they belonged, Bordalania. The symbol of his banner was very beautiful, a waterfall, and above it the palace of the heavens left no room for doubt. The elves did not even flinch at the crowd of people, and without looking at anyone they began to walk. The people left them a wide space to maneuver, while they followed them expectantly, and those who for whatever reason were not aware. When they saw the crowd appear they left their chores and began to observe the procession. Never having been to Almera, the elves were very good and reached their target without problems, the headquarters of the Blue Phoenix Company. Agnorak assumed it, and Kritus could only murmur, "What is going on?" The elves entered the company's headquarters under the astonished gaze of the mercenaries who were on guard. Evidently the crowd intended to do the same as the elves, but that was not the case, as the guards immediately prevented them from passing. Protests began to emerge about this decision. Agnorak had to take action on the matter by ordering many mercenaries of the company who were in the crowd to make a protective cordon to prevent the assault of the crowd. But deterrence appeared in person. A huge Denka more than 3 meters high appeared for the dead with the face of few friends. Its mere presence made the spirits relax quite a lot, and most decided that sooner or later they would find out what the elves wanted. But not everyone left. The rest of the mercenary companies left men stationed around the headquarters to keep an eye on everything that happened inside the building. Information was crucial. When Agnorak arrived at the courtyard the bewilderment was great. Tanya was together with the Kendali, who as always took care of Oriana. "Agnorak, elves?" "Yes, I've seen them before. They have requested to meet with Dabok." Aris came out of the main building looking for Agnorak and beckoned him to come closer. "Come on, Agnorak, as captain you have to be present." "Do you know what happens?" "No idea. I think the one who knows the most about this is Arian." They arrived at Dabok's office, which was full of people. Apart from the 3 elves who were standing, were the captains of the company Loranthas, Silkari, Kirsch, Aris and Agnorak. There were also, although they were not captains, Arian and of course Gosberg, who as always did what he wanted. "No family Loranthas." The half-elf mercenary greeted the visitors in his native language. "No family." The elf replied dryly. No one noticed that the way the elf replied to Loranthas was considered an insult. Well, no one, except the other member of the mercenaries who knew elf. "Debiarm, no family Debiarm, Imaloa Sabe Ligor Albayam Dask." It was Gosberg who was seriously speaking to the elf. The elves opened their eyes in surprise. They didn't expect someone to address them like this. "What has happened?" Dabok asked Gosberg. "Nothing. The traditional thing is that when you greet in elf it corresponds to the greeting and the name as Antharas. If you respond only with the greeting it means that you are not a worthy being. I've just reminded Debiarm that he's here as a guest, and if he doesn't show respect, it'll be the last words he says." The elf smiled. "My apologies Loranthas, we did not mean to offend." "My apologies, Master Gosberg, His Amistral Majesty has already warned us about you, and I think that is an understatement." "That old elf is still alive. How old is he?" 7,000 years. "Do you really not have health ailments?" "No, he has iron health, although it is true that even for an elf he has a long life." "Do you know King Amistral 18? asked de Boek. A long time ago we did some business. De Boek sighed, with whom Gosberg has not interacted. In short, he did not have much to add. So the veteran mercenary regained control of the meeting. I don't think you came all the way here to insult one of my captains and reminisce about old adventures with Gosberg. The middle elf smiled and from one pocket he removed a sealed envelope which he handed to de Boek. We would like to have an answer as immediate as possible. The first payment is a chest of gold from the First Age that will be disembarked the moment you accept. We will wait for the answer at the port. Good morning. The elves didn't comment on anything else, and as soon as they delivered the letter they left the room to everyone's surprise. Suddenly the attention was focused on the envelope. The paper had a touch an ivory color, only a sealed seal stood out that was not the coat of arms of King Amistral, it was a totally different glyph. I can't believe it! Kush exclaimed. Neither did I never believed that it would become true. Arian added. Agnorak looked at the priestess. Explain yourself. Well, when I liberated Turk Hymak from the Accursed, I received a letter from the King of the Elves, in which he congratulated me and reminded me of the role of the priests of Elabin in the wars against the demons. The Council of Ages. Kush was one of the few who recognized the glyph. Is this the glyph of the Council of the Ages? Agnorak asked. The wars against the demons, when the demons were banished to Itzamir, the last time the council was formed to defeat them. Gosberg replied as he approached de Boek. Wasn't the last time before the curse of Turk Hymak? Silkuri asked, a little lost. Look at the four symbols: elves, men, dwarfs, and orcs. De Boek showed the glyph to the rest. Last time the orcs did not fight. Aris pointed out. Nor do I believe that the orcs will fight now. Agnorak snapped. To everyone's expectation, de Boek opened the letter, written in common language, although with a somewhat peculiar handwriting to which it was difficult for him to adapt a little. What does the letter say? Calm everyone. I'm reading it before I read it out loud.